Good morning, everyone. This is Chaitali Bag from the European Bureau of Aviation and Defense Universe. Welcome you all. In an era where self-reliance and indigenization are the mantras, the defense forces of the nation are a part of the clarion call. Today, we have with us Lieutenant General Dr. V.K. Saxena, former DG Army, Air Defense, Indian Army, speaking to ADU on the Indian Army's Make in India and Atmanirbhar Bharat drive. Welcome, sir. I now request Editor Sangeeta Saxena to take the discussion forward.
Good afternoon, sir, and most welcome. It's a privilege for ADU to have you here in its chat room. And today, the occasion, of course, we are running up to is the Indian Army Day. And nothing better than somebody talking about, indigenization and Make in India and everything which we relate to with the industry. But Indian Army, we believe, is marching ahead with it. And sir, we'd like to begin with it. So most welcome, sir. We just hope it'll be a great discussion where we get to know from you about everything which is happening in the field of Atmanirbhar Bharat.
All right. Everybody is now talking about two twin mantras. One is called Make in India, another is called Atmanirbhar Bharat. Very few know that the journey where we are today has been very, very interesting, eventful, and it has a lot of takeaways. We can learn a lot from that. Now, let me take you through this journey very briefly. It all happened on 25th September 2014, when the newly elected government, the Prime Minister, announced the Make in India initiative. And it made a very big statement. Covering 25 industries, he said that this Make in India will cover 25% of GDP in the manufacturing sector. That was a message given in September. The world got to know on the sloganeering mode that the future of working with India will be joint ventures, MOU, co-development, co-production, and so on. But unfortunately, for the next 3 to 4 years, Make in India remained only a slogan. As regards the private industry, only a slogan. Because most of the order books, besides Make in India, remained empty. Can you believe in the year 2015-16, there were, out of total projects accorded, 78 projects were given to DRDO, which amounted to 70% of all the projects of the government of India, and the private sector got less than 5%. Now, that is the time I'm talking about 15-16. A lot of hue and cry was raised by the industry chambers, by FICCI, ICCI, PhD, a lot of webinars, seminars, interviews. MOD started to get aware that Make in India is not happening. They started to address Make 2 procedures, strategic partnership model, clogging the thing, and the things kept on moving little forward. Sometime around 17, 18, thereabout, some initial successes started to come in Make in India. When the first time the L&T got the order for vehicle platform of BM21, the Tatas got the order for the high mobility vehicle, and the Ashok Leyland got the order for, again, high mobility vehicle. From there on is the success story started of Make in India. 2018-19, the private sector, which was less than 5%, reached to 15,000 crores turnover, whereas the total turnover of the public sector was 63,208 crores. Then year after year, in 2018, we had the IDEX, everybody knows the Innovation for Defense Index. 2019, DRDO make a very big beginning by DRDO Industry Partnership Synergy and Growth Initiative. Hundreds of projects were given out to industries, TOT was happening, and so on. During the time 17-18, some contracts took place, which saw the success in 1920. I'll talk of 4 cardinal contracts. I will talk of L&T, 100 K9 Vajras at 4,366 crores. Here is a private sector giant who on its own won a global tender. And you must have read in February 21, they flagged off their 100th K9 Vajra ahead of schedule. Mahindra's came up, 145 M77 ultralight howitzer with AIT facility, assembly integration testing facility in India for the whole world. We struck a PPT, no, PPP, public partnership, unprecedented, 80 AGS, 3364 crores and going strong. And Tata Power SCD lately got 23 ships for Indian Navy. Then around 12th May 2020, the Atmanirbhar Bharat was announced as Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan, based on the 5 pillars of economy, infrastructure, system, demography, demand, and so on. And the two vehicles are now moving forward. But that should not give an impression to the viewers that everything is hanky-dory. Look, we have started moving. Make in India started to make progress. Atmanirbhar Bharat started to make progress, but there are miles to go. The order book of the industry is only getting a trickle. The Make 2 is just about happening. Strategic partnership still got a lot of doubts which needs to be cleared. But MOD is taking account of that. And it has come out with two cardinal documents, which we can talk about it little later. So that is the story of Make in India and Atmanirbhar Bharat.
Absolutely wonderful, sir. Actually, for the common man, there are only two terms. And then, we need somebody like you to explain it to us, that what they actually mean. And from here, so one thing I recall was when COVID was happening and everything was really bad and, people were getting used to this new pandemic. Then suddenly there were two policy documents which the government took out and everybody called them bold. So can you tell our audience a little more about these documents and what they actually were and how are they going to help us, sir?
Yeah. In the year when COVID was enhancing its deathly strangle on the people, the MOD did something unprecedented. I will credit them. On 3rd August 2020, they took out a document called Defense Draft Promotion and Export Promotion Policy, in short called the DPEPP. And a month after that, on 28th September, they took out a document called Defense Acquisition Procedure 2020, which now is at the verge of getting revised. But DPEPP is no small document. I must tell the viewers that it is an overarching document which has shaped the future of the defense and aerospace manufacturing sector for years to come. Now it had five objectives, five major objectives. Upfront, this document said that India's defense manufacturing turnover in 2025, by 2025, will be 25 billion US dollars. Well, how much is that? 175,000 crores, if you please. And that should include 5 billion in export, which is 25,000 crores of money. Second objective, it says we'll make the defense industry and the Indian shipbuilding industry both dynamic, robust, and competitive. All three words were very, very important. They said we will reduce our import, push up our export, and encourage R&D and reward R&D. 5 objectives. But these objectives were just starting point. This document very beautifully identified 8 thrust areas. They said we'll work on these 8 areas rather than just beating around the bush. What were those areas? First area, bring out procurement reforms. Procurement procedure is sluggish, it is time bound, it doesn't happen. 7 to 8 years, the files go left, right, and center. They wanted to improve it. They say optimize resource allocation to defense, open a different separate budget head for that. They want third was to optimize indigenization, do push up indigenization, set up a target of 5,000 items to be indigenized by 2025 and push up the MSMEs. Then they said we will do investment promotion and improve our ease of doing business index. Imagine we were at 142 in 2014. Today, sir, we are sitting at 63 and aiming at 50. They said we will increase innovation. Also, disinvestment of DPSU, this white elephants to be disinvested. And corporatization of OFB, which the government has done. Okay, pluses and minuses, I won't count, it has done. Quality assurance and testing to be made available. This huge government machinery testing facility to be made available to the private sector and do export promotion. This was the overall DPEPP, which of course, some successes, some failures, some have moved, but the document was very bold. On the heels of this came the DAP 2020, 28th September. What is DAP? Defense Acquisition Procedure. It is actually a small egg of DPEPP. It took out only the procurement portion of DPEPP and started to work on it. The first time in India in DAP, the RFI stage was having a clause for any foreign visit for foreign OEM, come and make it here. They made a new category, buy global but manufacture in India. The government came forward upfront. They came upfront. All right, we'll do inter-government agreement. The K9 Vajra happened on that inter-government agreement, and M77 happened along the same agreement. Then time delays. They said bring the best practices in management. They set up a project management unit and a technology assessment cell. They told the service headquarters, let the GSQRs be very, very stable, improve the trials procedure, and also many incentives to MSMEs and indigenization. So in together, if you see these two documents, somebody says they are half success, 3, 4. I don't bother. I said DPEPP 2020 and DAP 2020 are two cardinal documents which have set the pace for the defense and aerospace manufacturing sector for years to come, and MOD must be credited for taking out this in the year 2020.
Absolutely wonderful, sir. Actually, the MOD needs to be credited because when everybody else was sleeping, it was working. And just keeping that in mind, sir, we go ahead with one thing which I've always wanted to ask, which is what is the status of defense exports and what are the challenges we are facing in it?
Defense export is a huge vertical, which if it is not handled properly, it can lead to national shame. That is my bottom line stated upfront. Now, what does it mean? You talk of DPEPP 2020. It talks of defense export target of 25 billion, 5 billion US dollars, 25,000 crores. And where are we today? In the year 2019-20, our defense export was 9,115.55 crores. In the year 2021, our defense export brought down 8434.84 crores. We are coming down. Our target is 25,000 crores. Why it is happening? I will tell you why it is happening. DPEPP put down 11 strategies to push up exports. What are they? They're all superficial. They're all, some are good, some are not so good. They said we will have our outreach through defense attaches throughout the world. Fine, very fine. But what defense attaches can do in export, the only time could tell. They earmark some DPSUs that you are the Navratna DPSUs, you are the export promotion agencies, you do export, we'll give you success fees. They said government will come forward with export oriented inter-government agreements, will give line of credit and etc. They also established in some 2018 or something, defense December 18, export promotion cell. If you go to their website, pathetic website, they will not sell a pin also on that. Revenue mandate, they said DPSU, 25% of revenue you will get through export. Nothing is happening on that. They said, bring more and more IOPs on board so that you can do export. Use Defense Expo, use Aero India, use end-to-end clearance, use open government general license. But why the export is not happening? Because of 4 important reasons. The first reason is you have to involve the highest in the land in defense export. We had Army Forum Army 2021 in Russia. Do you know President Putin was available on all the 5 days in his chamber for pushing the defense export at the national level. Now this export promotion cell or this MOD or middle level or high level functionary, I say the highest in the land. The PM has to push it, the defense export as an agenda through Defense Export Council. Secondly, remember the credibility gap. Suppose you export something and it fails, your country will earn a national shame. So are we ready to export Tejas Mark 1? Are we ready to export the tanks of MBT, which has huge problem in India? Are we ready to export something which we do not have the life cycle support with them? Great dangers. Third is We need to build capabilities. Now, in the India Pavilion of the Forum 2021, I had a look. You know what all were displayed? We had Tejas, we had Atulya, AD, fire control radar, we had Akash, we had Netra, AVAC system, we had Rohini, 3D tactical control radar, IFF system, Astra BVRAM, AT AGS, MBT tank, and joint venture Carbine and ATGM, Helena and Mark. Can you imagine? You put out on the export window, nobody will come and do export. They will not come and pick it up with a barge pole. You have to ensure that there are no issues with the system. It is tried and tested. Your highest in the land is involved in that. And also, the country's reputation is not put at a stake by promoting something which is not very good. Your own people, they say, sir, your own army is not happy with the system. Are you exporting? Great dangers. And my last point is diversify the canvas. Today, you are doing 5.56 cartridges, you are doing bulletproof jacket, you are doing protective equipment, you are doing mortar shells. Project upwards. Bring in big item, bring in BrahMos, bring in Akash, bring in Tejas, but make sure that the country does not lose face, because neither you have capabilities, either because of short of capabilities, short of reputation, short of life cycle support. So defense export is a huge, huge challenge. I've written in many places that today we are at 25%. We will at best by 2025 go to 30-35%. We cannot touch the target. So defense export needs to be uphooked by our respected Prime Minister of this country and taken forward. That is my request to him as a concerned veteran who's looking after defense export with great expectations.
Absolutely, sir. And, just wanted to tell you that both Chaitali and I from ADU were there at Army Forum 2021. And it was quite a big India pavilion with their Minister for Defense coming. And then for it, we had the ambassador all the time there, the Indian ambassador to Russia, trying to personally see that, people came and saw. It was a good event, but yes, definitely it was an event where we were showcasing, and I felt that the private industry was less. We had the DPSUs there, we had DRDO there, but yes, the private industry participation at Army Forum was very less. So
Private
we had
industry is the core, sir, core today, core. And secondly, you can put in a show window. You should be very careful. If you're putting something for export, you are putting your country's reputation at stake. Make sure that everything is hanky-dory before exporting. You have the numbers, you have the support, you have no issues with it.
And sir, yesterday was the Army Chief's press conference, and for the first time, an online press conference. And because of your being the former DG Army Air Defense, my last question to you would be that yesterday, the chief spoke about swarm drones. And he said that it was one of the biggest asset any country could have in the changed technological warfare scenarios. So we'd like to understand from you, what is this unmanned system of warfare? Where will it take us? How does it, how will it help our air defense? And how swarm drones can be, compatible to both our enemies on the border. So we've got, we don't have very friendly neighbors. So with them, do you think it'll be a challenge? Or are we going to match step with them because they also have them?
So I have said one word, very key word I keep saying, that the unmanned phenomena, by the time it has hit the battlefield, it has changed the very DNA in which the DNA of how the air threat will be prosecuted. And one of the major change drivers have been the drones, whether they are in ones or twos or whether they are in huge numbers. Now, first of all, this drone word needs to be understood in its full understanding that this drone is a four vertical phenomena. Four vertical. What is the first vertical? Initially, these drones came as unmanned, very simple unmanned vehicles doing intelligence, surveillance, target acquisition, and reconnaissance. Called star vehicles, no harm, no nothing, very good, very hard. As time passed, they became combatized platform, initially with strap-on, and then whole fully fledged, fully loaded high endurance combat platform. Today, they can operate on their own or they can operate together with manned platforms, giving a run for the money to the manned pilots, both for situational awareness, endurance, warfare carrying, warhead carrying capabilities, and so on. Now, when all these three verticals were happening, star vertical, strap-on vertical, and full-fledged combat vertical, a fourth vertical erupted. What is that fourth vertical? The little monsters. I call them little monsters. Why little monster? A small drone. Now I'll take you back to the attack of the small drones on 5th January 2018 on the Russian air base at Khmeimim and their naval base at Tartus. A mighty air defense power like Russia, putting up its weapon system of Igla, Strela, and Panzil, hit by 13 drones. Still, 3 drones came and attacked. They could take out only 7. 6 still came, 3 of them could be hacked, and 3 still came and did the damage. A power like Russia. A power like Russia. 14th September 2019, 18 drones, some say 14, some say 18, kamikaze drone, hit these 2 oil production facilities in Saudi Arabia. Total destruction, 5.9 million barrels destroyed. And country's production for that day halved. Jammu, 26th, 27th night, in the gut of the Pathankot airfield with all the aircrafts and the air defense resources of the Jammu air station, there came and attacked and hit a wall. Those are the little monsters. Why? 2 things, 2 challenges. One is these drones are very difficult to be detected because of their small radar cross section called RCS. Very simply, for the viewers to understand, smaller the RCS, difficult for the radar to detect. And second, kill potential. These are low-cost vehicles. They require low-cost kill means. You kill an Iron Dome kills or a Panzir kills $1 million or a thousands of dollar missile, killing $100 drone. The defender has lost the battle. Right in the beginning, he has lost the battle. Therefore, what is required? 2 things are required. Bring the detection thing, bring your eyes and ears which can detect drones. What are those? Electro-optical devices, acoustic devices, radars like ESA radars, which is ESA and PESA radars, which are active electronic scan radars in the band of 6 to 15 gigahertz. Those are the radars. And electro-optical system. For the kill means bring the soft kill. DRDO has taken on a system. A company like Zen Technologies Limited, which is the front-ranking company in the simulator domain, have brought out their own anti-drone system based on dual mode RF kill and jammer kill. Bring in electronic warfare system, bring in RF kill system, put out small weapon systems which are RF guns and even air defense guns which can throw a large volume of fire and kill a drone. Kill a swarm drone is still a greater danger. Intelligence of a swarm, it has a collective think capability. Tomorrow the researchers will put things like motivation, resolve, morale in that machines. We are up for a huge challenge, and that needs to be sorted out on 2 fronts. Detect them and kill them. Detect them through electro-optical devices and kill them through soft kill and hard kill. Soft kill, RF, EW, as well as hard kill of large volume of fire. Low cost kill pennies with pennies.
Thank you very much, sir. It was just wonderful, actually, because this is something which we saw, we've been seeing for the last so many years. China has it in every annual day parade. And last year, if you recall, Indian Army on Army Day had done a technical demonstration of the swarm drones. And after that, about a few months post that, even at IIT Delhi, we saw such a, it was a very, very nice thing, but though it was a fancy thing at IIT, but then it was a technology which was on display. And I think air defense becomes absolutely different with such sort of things having come in.
Just remember 2021 military air show of China. You know what was the most important thing? The most important thing was their stealthy drone and swarm drone. They put it out to tell the world, this is the power that be. So stealth, remember, stealth and swarm drone are the 2 verticals which need to be addressed. And sooner the better.
Right. So thank you very much, sir. I think it was wonderful speaking with you, especially on a day when we are all, trying to, understand that how will Indian Army improve itself, what will become, what will become of our two neighbors, and how will we combat them. And these are some little things which really get into us. The fact that, we are developing, we have the best technology, we have the best army in the world. Absolutely. We take pride in saying that. But the truth is that, yes, we need to develop, and we need to also understand our requirements, which is very important. So I think, it was a wonderful way to explain to the common man, because all of us are common people. And for us, we needed an explanation about Make in India, about Atmanirbhar Bharat, about, how to fight with unmanned systems on the borders. And I think it was just wonderful. So thank you very much for being here on our chat show. Thank you, Chaitali. Handing
Thank
over
you
to
so
you.
much, ma'am. Thank you, sir. As usual, it was very informative to hear you, like the earlier sessions as well. And we look forward to have more chat sessions with you like this. Thank you so much, ma'am, for your time. Thank you, sir, and have a great day ahead. Thank you so much.
Thank you.